So, how do you sweep space? Hello, annyeonghaseyo, I'm Chandra H. Welcome to Cinemaria, where we only talk about South Korean movies and dramas. If you have seen a little-known series called Mr. Sunshine, you know that Kim Tae-ri is an amazing actress. I became an instant fan of her after having watched the show, so I was really excited to see today's movie. But it's not just because of her. I was really curious to see a Korean space opera. So let's talk about Space Sweepers, or Seungniho. The movie stars Kim Tae-ri, Song Joong-gi. He starred in movies like A Werewolf Boy or Battleship Island. Shin Sang-yu, he's played in a lot of movies, The Outlaws being one of them with Ma Dong-seok. Yoo Hae-jin gives his voice to an android. David Armitage plays the villain here. There's a little girl called Pang Hye-ri. Kim Woo-yeol is here for a very short while. I was a little sad about it actually. In the not too distant future, Earth has become almost uninhabitable. A company called UTS is building new homes for people in space, and they are planning to colonize Mars. But of course, only the chosen ones are able to live there. The rest of humanity still lives on Earth. Those that aren't are sweeping space for space debris, and they are selling every little thing they can find to make a living. One such spaceship and its crew is called the Victory, and we follow their adventures as they bump into a little girl who's believed to be a highly dangerous android, and who's also worth a lot of money. But of course, things are not this simple. So like I said, I was really curious to see this movie, but I gotta admit, I was also a little bit afraid. I'm not a huge fan of space operas, not even Star Wars, and the weakest part of every Korean movie for me so far has been the CGI. So I'm very happy to say that when it comes to visual presentation, this movie is absolutely incredible. This is the first time in a Korean movie where the CGI didn't bother me, for the most part. But they were able to achieve here visually, and I don't just mean the CGI, it's the set designs, the colors, everything is truly impressive. There were times when the CGI wasn't that convincing or it looked a little cartoonish, but for the most part it was really solid. It's definitely a huge improvement over previous Korean flicks like Along with the Gods, but I could name any movie. And the sets were amazing too. From the vibrant neon lights of a club to the ragged, rusty places where poor people live, it was all pretty fantastic. Most of the places felt lived in, they felt authentic. Incredible job on that part. I really liked Pang Hye-ri in this movie, she was just adorable. I wouldn't say that her acting was anything special, but still she had such a heartwarming presence here. She was probably my favorite out of everyone. I also appreciated that the movie tried to say something about the divisions between rich and poor and how it affects society. And also, since the villain has a god complex, the movie raises a big question about who is to judge other people for their different moralistic views. And does the person who judged realizes his or her shortcomings? Or is it just plain hypocrisy? Great questions. But unfortunately, this is just a tiny part of the whole movie, so let's talk about the problems here because, unfortunately, there are many, and I'm kinda pissed because this could have been a really great movie. 1. Originality. This film has zero originality. The first shot right away reminded me of Blade Runner, and later some sets also resemble that movie. The way society is shown is very similar to the Matt Damon movie Elysium, or Ali the Battle Angel even. Other sets and the lighthearted feel of the movie reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, and then there's Star Wars of course. All the battle scenes, a lot of the music, it's all borrowed from Star Wars. The problem is that the movie is not able to go beyond its influences, so it ends up just being an imitation of other already existing stronger materials. 2. Characterization. If the characters were stronger, this could have been a really good movie. But unfortunately, there are no characters to be found here. The most character traits are given to Song Joong-gi, but even that isn't enough. He's a father who has lost his daughter, but she might still be alive, and he's looking for her across the galaxy. Later, around halftime, we get a little backstory with him. But that's also a problem. Space Sweepers is a movie where characters have to explain other characters. Like somebody tells a story about a particular character, what he or she had done, and it's so cheap. Also, Kim Tae-ri is supposed to be the captain of the ship and she never once came across as a leader. Ever. Remember her in Mr. Sunshine? She was so fragile in the show, but she also was a force to be reckoned with. Not here, because she doesn't have a personality. No one does. Like, take the villain for example, played by Richard Armitage. I seriously think that he could have been great, and his character also seems to have a little history with our heroes, as it later turns out, but it's never shown. Again, it's this characters explaining other characters thing. It just doesn't work, and the villain's character is just him having a god complex. That's it. And he also has a weird medical condition that is never explored or explained, and it really bugged me. 3. Pacing and storytelling. Now this is an interesting one. The first half of the movie is lightning fast. It's a sensory overload. It feels like a lot of things are happening. Until you realize that you're about halfway into the movie and the real story is just about to start. So the first half of the movie, which is 2 hours and 17 minutes in total, is basically just a huge setup. And when you start thinking about it, well, not much of importance is happening in the first half. All of the time that could have went into fleshing out the characters, making a scare for them is thrown out the window for spectacle. That's not why I fell in love with Korean cinema for sure. 4. The humor. Much of this movie tries to be a comedy and it fails miserably. Trust me, you've seen each and every joke in this film, even if you haven't seen the film. I laughed once. It was a fart joke. I laughed at a fart joke. It was funny. Other than that, it was cringy, man. It really didn't work. Now, here's the problem. I don't care about spectacles. And please don't take what I'm about to say the wrong way, but I fell in love with Korean cinema because it rejuvenated my love for movies. Before that, all of my favorite movies were American movies, but I got really tired of the tons of uninspired shit that came out from Hollywood, because it seemed like that spectacle was enough for the audiences. So the studios stopped caring about making an actually good movie. I mean, I can't blame them. It's business. If you can make money with less effort, you've got a pretty good thing going on for yourself. But that's not why I like movies. And in this way, Space Sweepers felt really American. It was a great visual spectacle, but it's empty on the inside. And let's not even talk about Kim Tae-ri's looks in this movie. She's one of the most beautiful Korean actresses, and they made her look terribly ugly in this movie. Her hair, her costumes. She looked like a guy. It was terrible. I'm gonna give Space Sweepers 58%. It's a really strong movie visually, but substance-wise, it's seriously lacking. Not to mention that the movie wears its influences on its sleeve. It's basically just a rehash of a lot of other movies with nothing added to it, and I'm used to so much more when it comes to Korean cinema. It's a disappointment for sure. 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 이 영상 좋아하면 구독해주세요. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. Bye!